Hey everybody, my name is Steve Moore and thanks for checking out our channel. I'm the owner of Run More, this beautiful brick and mortar shop located in chilly Westminster, Maryland. Today we have a new-ish shoe from Brooks. It is the Brooks Launch GTS 8. So this is sort of a rebranding, renaming of what was the Brooks Ravenna. So some of you that have been following the Ravenna for some time this season should probably be looking for the Ravenna 12. But we're seeing some renaming across the board from Brooks. So you're gonna see a couple other lines this year that are having a whole new name, and it's a little confusing, and we're gonna get into it a little bit. But so if you were looking for a Ravenna 12 this season, if you've been running in the Ravenna, that's no more. It is now called the Launch GTS 8. The GTS goes back to their original Adrenaline GTS, which stands for Go To Stability. So that's gonna be what we're seeing a lot of shoes renamed as. So we're getting into a bunch of new reviews this year, so if you're looking for some new stuff, this is a great channel to check out. But we will go through some of the changes, and if you've been looking for your favorite shoe, where you'll find it and what it's renamed to in the updates. So the Ravenna, sorry, I'm used to saying Ravenna. The GTS, Launch GTS, is their speed category. So it falls in line with the Launch. It goes in that sort of that faster paced shoe, a little bit lighter shoe. Some people use this for a training shoe. Some people use this for an everyday run shoe. Some people use this for a race day shoe. There's a lot of different things you can use this shoe for. And I had another shoe in my hand. There's a lot of other things you can use this shoe for, but that's typically what your speed category is going to be for, is that faster stuff, or if you're doing some shorter mile stuff. If you're new to running and you wanted to go out there and start training for like a marathon or something, this probably would not be one I pulled for you. But if you're looking for a shoe that's sort of that companion shoe for something that you use for an everyday trainer for faster days or race day, this is a great shoe to pick up. So what makes this shoe kind of cool is its guide rail technology. This is one of those shoes in Brooks's family that has a little bit of support on the lateral side and the medial side. And that's what separates this from the traditional Launch. And just like the same thing, we are on the Launch 8. So this is the Launch GTS 8. So a couple differences, so we're updating from the new one. So this is our new guide. This is the Launch GTS 8. And if we're gonna compare it to the Ravenna 11, you can see even some of the characteristics as the color schemes and such were the same. We have made the outer much better. I really like the new material that they're using on the top. You can kind of feel with the old one, it just felt a little narrow. It always did, and probably by design. It looked like a little streamlined shoe. It looked nice and fast, but it did, if you had a wider foot, it did have some options in wide, but for the most part, even those, it just felt a little bit snug, and it was a little more restricting on the upper here. This new ventilated upper, it just fits and feels a little bit better. I was kind of comparing it as far as like the actual width between the shoes, and I didn't notice it like that the shoe itself was any wider, but it definitely made it fit a good bit more loosey-goosey, which I liked because I do have a bigger, fatter foot. And while this shoe is available in wide, not all colors, you can pick this up in wide if you were somebody who looking for something in a category but just have a little bit wider foot. I have some shoes that I have to go to wide in, and there's no need for me to pick up a wide in this one. Where this one, I kind of felt like I was on the cusp, and again, not so much that we were too narrow here, it was just the upper made it a little bit too narrow. And then we've also changed our heel counter. So you can see we've now added that new thing that we're seeing a lot more shoes put, which is just this little ledge here. It makes your foot slide in and out really easily. And I know it seems silly, but it did pop on my foot really well compared to some of the other ones. And that was one complaint I had with the Ravenna 11. I don't know if it was just more stiff. I don't know if it was just too tall, but sometimes this shoe just kind of rubbed my ankle funny. And I didn't like the way that it sat on my heel. But this shoe actually feels really good for me on my heel. I like that. And watching people put in and on and off shoes a lot here, sometimes you see people struggle to put shoes on. They'll step down the heel and I'm like watching them and I'm like cringing because they're crushing it. And I do really like that some of these new shoes are having this fancy little heel cup to it. Another difference is if you're kind of looking at the outsole on this shoe, this part that's a different color here on the new Launch GTS 8 is made of a different rubber blend than the other parts of the shoe. And you can see this was sort of the same. And it's designed to be just a little bit faster of your toe off in your transition. So just a little bit faster as you're moving yourself forward to your gait cycle. And again, that's kind of what we're looking for in more of a speed shoe. It's just a little bit more responsiveness. So they twist just a little bit more of that different rubber blend in this one versus the previous one. So as far as like some differences in the weight, we have trimmed down a little bit. The shoe went from, on the men's size, we went down almost a full ounce. So we've gone down from 9.4 down to 8.8. And on the women's shoe, on the old Ravenna 11, we were closer to 8.8 and now we're down to 8.1 on the Launch GTS. So I mentioned that this shoe is a great companion shoe. So just to put that in perspective, somebody who might be using something traditional like the Brooks Adrenaline, this is like the big sibling to your Launch GTS 8. They have that same guide rail technology, but this one has more cushion. This one has more of that DNA Loft midsole to it. This guy weighs, on the men's, we're talking about 10.4 ounces here. And again, so we're down to 8.8 on the men's on that. So it's a good bit lighter in this shoe. So we'll have people that will use the GTS Adrenaline, your go-to stability everyday mid-cushion trainer for your everyday runs, your long runs, all that good jazz, and then slip into something faster like the Launch GTS if you were looking for something for that fast race day type shoe. We get a lot of people that are looking for, we call them hybrid shoes. If I am not a serious runner, or I might just be running 2 or 3 days on the treadmill at the gym, and I want something that I could do some cross training in, some lifting in, some casual cardio. This shoe's awesome for that. It's light and you can totally hop on a bunch of different equipment and do a bunch of different things in. Not saying you can't with the Adrenaline, but with it being just a little bit bulkier, heavier of a shoe, this is to me a better option for those type of activities. So this is a great shoe for if you're gonna be bouncing around doing a bunch of different things in it. And it is, again, nice, light, fast, got a little stability. So if you are somebody who's newer into being into more of a fitness routine, the guide rails are great because what it's gonna do, prevent you from rolling inside or outside. The old Ravennas, going back a couple generations, only had that medial stability. It only was good for somebody who overpronated. But throughout the years, we've added the guide rail technology on the GTS lines from Brooks. So not only does it have support on the medial side, it has support on the lateral side too, which is, again, if you're newer to running, or we call it your form gets a little sloppy, if your ankles are a little bit weaker and you might do a little bit of this, no matter which way you're rolling, this shoe is gonna hold you. It's gonna keep you from moving around. And by adding these guide rails and comparing it to just like your Launch, just your regular old Launch 8, it's not adding any extra real weight to the shoe. It's not like you put this on and you feel like it's so clunky by adding these guide rails. It might be just a little bit more stiff and a little bit more restrictive around the heel, but not in a bad way. It feels nice and secure if you are doing stuff and you do have a little bit of pronation issues. So Launch GTS, great option. Oh, and another really nice thing about this shoe, which we rarely see in shoes, is the price went down. So if you'd been in the Ravenna and you were looking for that again, that Ravenna 12, which went away, that shoe had been 110 bucks for the last several generations. They lowered this. So the new Launch GTS 8 is down to 100 bucks, exact same as the Launch. So if you were sort of on the cusp between needing the little extra stability and not, the price is the same in my opinion. You might as well just give yourself a little bit of that extra support, because it's not gonna push or pull you if you don't need it. An old stability shoe was always doing something, but if you think of these guide rails, it's just that support when you need it. It's not gonna affect too much of your everyday running in it, but if you do have those bad days or you just need a little bit of extra, it's gonna be there to protect you. So we've lowered our price point. The last little thing on this shoe, and we're gonna see across the board on Brooks, they've limited some of their colors. Colors that you're sort of seeing here are the same for the Launch as you're gonna find in the Launch GTS. So a couple of weird changes. I'm not sure how I feel about limiting the color options and making them the same. I know for us, if you're in here on a busy Saturday morning and we're pulling some Launch and some Launch GTS, I could totally see a scenario where stuff is going in the wrong box, because it's, if you're just picking up a shoe and the colors, it's easy to sort of miss that. But those little guide rails are what dictate that GTS. So any questions, feel free to leave it down below. Give us a like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you enjoy our reviews. You can always shop on our channel. We have a link down below, a link down below. Enter promo code RUNMORE, just one word at checkout, and you'll save 10% and we'll ship it out for free. Thanks, as always, happy running and stay safe out there.